Good morning. Hello, hello. Hi, guys. Good morning. Welcome to tea time. I am looking forward to our conversation today. It's this thinking that I've been having around feeling like we deserve more, actually knowing that we deserve more. Because you do. You deserve to have the life. You deserve to have the life. But you might deserve more, and then the way that you're choosing to show up every day is not reflective of you deserving more. So we're not helping ourselves in that deserving feeling. We're not helping ourselves to achieve the desires of our heart. Uh, so I wanted to talk about it today because it's been in my space all week long. I've been just having these experiences of talking with people and seeing where some people have certain standards for their lives and then other people not so much. But the thing that was most interesting to me was just the way that people respond to persons who have set clear standards and have clear values for their lives. So today, that's what we're going to be discussing. We're going to be talking about, you know, the fact that you actually deserve to have a really amazing life. You deserve to create what you want. But then sometimes we miss the bar for ourselves. We miss the bar and we think it's about everybody else when ultimately it's about us. So grab your tea. I'm having my little tea story to tell you guys. So my tea this morning is I'm finishing one. I don't know if you'd call it tea, but I think it's kind of like tea because it's warm. I'm finishing one cup of something. I'm actually pretty much done. I'm finishing one cup of something, and then I'm gonna start another cup of something. And I explain what is going on. So all through the holidays, everybody was getting ill. Everybody was getting flu, COVID, all the different things. I was not. I was very happy and healthy and doing well. I mean, I could have used more sleep, but generally I was fine. Now the challenge enters the stage where it is now after holidays, and you still have the little stragglers them running around that have flu and cold and thing. And yesterday I started to feel a little, when you start feeling little things. So yesterday I started to feel a little things. And I'm like, we don't do that. So in this house, we believe that food is also medicine. Now, granted, my sister is a doctor and she writes prescriptions and things. So I understand that as a doctor, you have to prescribe medication for people, the drugs that the pharmacists give you. But there is also natural remedies. And I mean, if you think about it, pharmaceutical medicines are derived from, anyway, getting off track. Long and short of it, I started to feel the things like, yeah, we want to become something, and we nip it in the bud. We do not carry it on. So I have a formula that I usually make that has garlic and honey. And if you have white rum, and your family used to use white rum, but garlic and honey is the base. And I usually make it, it's usually very thick and you have to have it with a spoon. Garlic, honey, and lemon. And then Honey Boo now has an approach which is kind of like a tea. And so his approach got very popular in the house. And so I decided to try it out. So I asked him to make it for me. And if you have a grandmother, I know that if you have a Caribbean grandmother, I'm not so sure about the foreign grandmothers. If you have a Caribbean grandmother, you probably have gotten something like this at some point in time, where it is garlic, mash up garlic, whether it's finely chopped and minced or the garlic, the honey. The honey is essential enough because the garlic by itself rough. The garlic, the honey, and the lemon. Honey booze has the garlic, honey, apple cider vinegar. I don't think there's any lemon in it. Babe, is there a lemon in your mix up? I don't think there is. There a lemon in your mix up? No lemon. His doesn't have any lemon. All right. So when you drink this now, I saved just a little bit in the bottom of the cup because I need you guys to understand that it is a potent mixture. But you see, when you take this now, every flu and every flu relative, every flu cousin decides that it is going to leave. It is not coming around. So I had some last night, and I've been nursing this one this month. You know what it means to nurse something? Oh, oh my God. It tastes good, you see? To nurse something means to take your sweet little time and eat it or drink it, right? So, anywho, needless to say, I'm feeling better this morning, and I'm having some now to make sure that I'm good during the day. Also, whenever I start to feel a little like something wants to come and land itself, um, my healer that I've talked about on here before, Jaman, he made this really nice inhaler from natural herbs. So you can actually see that it has like natural stuff in it. It's like real things. It's not, Vicks. It's not Vicks, but it does the same thing that Vicks is supposed to do. And you use it like an inhaler, except that you're not taking in any of the toxins that would be in like a Vicks. So it's really cool. And I use this to clear up my sinuses or anything like that. So when I was sick, when I had cancer, I went liquid vegan, and I had my healer cooking for me, and he would make me soups and teas and all different kind of juices. I wasn't eating anything, and I certainly wasn't drinking um, sweet juice and stuff. No sugar. Like, I mean, my diet was really clean, and I think that ultimately is what healed me. So, anywho, this morning we're talking about standards, right? Because in the same way that I'm here using natural therapy to heal my body, right? Natural therapy to heal my body, it's because I have set certain standards for how I want the inside of my body to be treated. In our lives every day, we really need to set standards for ourselves, but we don't think about it. We don't actively think about whether or not we have standards for ourselves. We have standards for other people. Yeah, we have standards for other people, and we have standards for other people because it's much easier to see things outside of ourselves than it is to see ourselves. Is to say it kind of evolves out of having a set of values. People talk about having values, and sometimes you don't understand what having values means. So I'm going to explain that to you. And I'm going to talk about standards because you may be having wonderful dreams for yourself for this year ahead. You may have wonderful ideas and things that you want, especially when it comes to relationships, with people, with yourself. And you have all these amazing standards. You have a standard for the kind of work you want, the kind of people you want to work with, the kind of love life you want. You have standards. And you have your bar is set here. You may even have lists for, especially in the love space. Love is coming up, love month is coming up in a couple of weeks. And many of us have been told that, if you want to find the love of your life, you need to, what I'm saying, you need to make the list and make it clear and all the things, right? So imagine now that you make your list and you're setting your standard. So you make your list, you're setting your standard. You want these people in your life, yes, but, or not but, and they have to show up in a particular way. Yeah. So you have standards for yourself. And then now you forget that the reason you have standards, the reason why you've written down this list of how you want people to show up in your life, how you want to be loved, how you want all the things you want when it comes to dealing with other people, is because you have standards and you are putting your standards on other people. So let me define it for you, because some of you like standards. What do you mean by standards? Okay. So a standard is the behavior or the level of quality that you expect from other people and from yourself. I'm going to say that again. Standards are the behavior, the kinds of behavior and the level of quality that you expect from others and from yourself. The and from yourself part is the part that people usually leave off, but that is actually the important part. You're not supposed to leave off the part that is about yourself. Okay, so that's standards. Now, the way that when I was thinking about talking about it today, guys, and having tea with you, the way that I was thinking about standards was like, well, standards have to come from somewhere. Like, you are expecting a certain type of quality. You're expecting people to behave a certain way and to treat you a certain way, and so that comes from somewhere. And I actually thought about values. Like you have a job and you see them put the values on the wall. That's probably where most people get introduced to values. When I was growing up, nobody never told me about no values. Nobody never. I mean, it just never. It wasn't in this. It wasn't in the space. But values are essentially where it comes from. Your values are now your principles, the beliefs that you have, things that are important to you, things that matter to you. And your values are usually what guide your decisions. And a lot of people think that when people make bad decisions that they don't have a set of values. They do. They do. Um, but it just may not be aligned with your values. And when I talk about values, guys, you like think about the work example again. Like you get a job and you go into the office. For those of you that got to our office or whatever, you may see on the wall where it says values: integrity, trust, professionalism, service, you know, passion. So you'll see these different words. Sometimes you'll see the meanings on the wall, and this is where you may get acquainted with values. But every one of us has inside, we all have a way that we think we should behave. It guides our decision making. So for some people, integrity is very important. Honesty is very important. And you can find it when you say to, I don't like when so and so does so and so. I don't like when people not honest, or I don't like when people say one thing and do another thing. I don't like when. That's another way that you can figure out what your values are. You observe the things that you say you don't like how other people do or behave. I don't like when a man open the door and walk in before a woman. So you have a value for respect, and you have a value for chivalry. That is something that is a guiding post for you. Now, why am I spending so much time talking about this? I'm talking about it because I realize that a lot of times people disconnect what they value and the standards that they have to being able to create the life of your dreams, to being able to manifest. They don't see the connection. And so you're walking through your life and you think, I have a high standard and I have a value. I'm not going to go out on the road and I don't bathe, or I don't put on some deodorant. I'm not going to go out on the road and I don't have on, I don't comb my hair, or I don't have on proper shoes. Or you may have certain things that you feel, I behave like this. And when somebody doesn't behave like that, that means that there's something wrong with them or they're less than. Well, can I tell you that people are looking at you in the same way? That they have a set of values, good or bad. They have a set of standards, good or bad, that they are judging you on. And this happens a ton in relationships. And what oftentimes happens is that when you meet somebody, like you're going into a loving relationship, and you meet someone and they're just like so hot and so nice, and everything just look turn up, everything just look delicious. The values is like the love brain just cloud up the values brain. The love brain just take over, and it's like everything is roses. And everything that you value, or the standards that you have, because of the love brain now, the standards and the values is like them just they're on a back burner. And I just had a thought that what happens is that when people start to show you things that aren't aligned with your values or aligned with the standards that you have set for yourself and for other people. When they start to show up, little things start to show up, people call them red flag. And the woman will sit down and they'll talk to their girlfriends and will say, you know what, he did something a little weird, when we were at dinner, and the waiter was taking our orders, he ordered my food for me, and he was like, when I was gonna interject, he said, no, 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 you need to eat what I tell you to eat. And I never really liked that. And I was wondering about it, and I was like, oh, red flag, red flag. That's because there is a value within her that got a little rub when the guy did what he did. And similarly for men, it's the same thing. A guy could be seeing a woman and he's going through that love phase, and she does something and it kind of triggers something in his mind and then brush it off. But it's the same thing. It's like the values and the standards that you have set, or the values that you have and the standards that you've set, it not jiving. Now, the reason this is important is because if your standards are not present to you, like if the things that you want to intentionally experience, or the things that you want to really use to help to create the life, if you're not clear on your standards, or whether or not you actually have standards, right, whether they're good or bad, if you're not clear on it, then you're going to get this life that is a hodgepodge of things. You're going to get some things that you really want or desire, and you might call it luck, and then you get some things that just don't match up. You're getting the things that don't make you feel good. Now, when you have low standards for yourself, that is when anything and everything will pass. And I will say it happens sometimes with areas that we don't think about, like allowing disrespectful behavior from other people. That's one that is very common, especially with women. People can just disrespect you and it's okay. Complaining, you notice yourself complaining about circumstances, but you don't change the circumstances. You don't set up any boundaries or any healthy boundaries to help you to move or to help you to experience the life that you want. When you're in personal relationships or even in professional relationships, you accept toxic behavior, you accept people talking to you any old way, and you make excuses for it. That's what happens. You make excuses when people treat you badly, instead of standing up for yourself, speaking up, setting boundaries, and even in some instances, exiting the situation. It happens a lot at work. You will find that because we have the golden handcuffs of money. Because we have the golden handcuffs of money, we will stay in jobs where the environment is toxic and people treat you badly, people talk to you badly, your boss talk to you nasty, your colleagues, them talk to you poorly, them disrespect you, and you are the boss. But you stay because of the golden handcuffs, because you have not set a standard for yourself that says you can work in an environment that respects who you are and serves your purpose and allows you to serve your purpose. And because we don't pay attention to the standards that we've set for ourselves, or we don't understand it, we're not paying attention to how we live our lives. When life does not go well for us, we wonder why, and we talk about it being easy for some and not easy for others, and we don't see our dreams manifesting, and we don't see the life that we want manifesting, and we're trying to add it up and it just doesn't make sense. It's because you don't have any standards for yourself. It's easy for you to say you have standards for others, but it's hard to have standards for others, not have standards for yourself, and expect to live a life where you have complete fulfillment. I'm going to say that a different way. When you keep looking outside of yourself and judging other people and saying how them stay and why this not working and that not working and all of that, but you don't look inside of yourself and talk about how you can show up better, how you can talk to people better, how you can have more ambition, how you can show more love and appreciation, how you can show more respect. When you're not doing that, your life is not going to manifest in the way that you want it to. You're going to have drama, you're going to have toxic relationships, you're going to have bad behavior, you're going to have people judging you. Now, on that point, let me just sip some tea. What are you having for tea this morning? I am having the tea. Oh, thank God. Okay, so this morning's tea is Kendall ginger. It's the ginger packets, that it's the powdered ginger. I love the Kendall ginger. So I'm having that, and I'm having mint. So it's Kendall ginger tea with just plain mint and honey. And you guys know I've been just like loving my M&M's honey. So that's what I'm having this morning. I'm having Kendall ginger tea with mint and honey. And I'm having it because I think in the beginning of the show, I was sharing that I feel like all my exposure to the people them that have cold and flu trying to make an impression, and I'm not having it. So I'm making sure to give my body the herbal treatment. Herbal stuff and natural things are just wonderful when you're not feeling well. So if you're having your tea, have your tea, get your coffee. I just had to pause for that intermission so I could make sure I was drinking some of my tea. Okay? Okay. Oh, it's just what I need, guys. It's just what I need right now in my life. Oh, amen. Okay. So I want to talk for a bit about defining your standards, because sometimes you don't know how to do it. You don't, I mean, maybe it's the first time you're even talking about standards for yourself by listening to this show. Maybe it's the first time, that you're even getting to understand that, oh, there's something called values, and there's a way that that sets me up for success. There's a way that helps me to set up standards for myself. you know um maybe this is the first time, right? So what I wanted to do was to help you to understand whether or not you know what your values are, or even how to define, values, how to identify values so you can get to standards. Because you're doing it, you're out there telling people, and whether you tell them verbally or you talk about them behind their back, you're out there telling people how they must behave, and some of you not behaving like that. Sometimes people talk about people being too much, or she thinks she nice, you know, just so bougie, him thinking better than everybody else. But there's a reason why you're feeling that. It may be because you actually want to be like that person, but you don't know how. And so instead, you criticize them. Look at this past week. Look at the people that you interacted with this week that you were criticizing, judging, or watching through the corner of your eye and gossiping about with your friends or your co-workers. Look at that for a moment. Think about it. Maybe you were at a meeting and they are presenting and you're around the back talking about them. Right? Like, we've all been there. Me too. I think ashamed to talk and not ashamed to talk. I have been at a place in my life where I'm in meetings, and somebody that I do not have hold in high regard is talking or whatever. I'm gonna have to whisper to my friend and tell them something. I'm not doing that stuff anymore, but it's real. I used to do that, and I can acknowledge that, and I can be a big person and say, yeah, but it doesn't serve me. It didn't serve me then, and it wouldn't serve me now to continue that behavior. So think about that. Think about this week. who you are talking about, who you are gossiping about. And when I talk about, I mean, with just, it's not like you're trying to help them out. You're not trying to help them. You don't have a positive intent for them, right? And then I want you to start to ask some questions like, why did that bother me? Why is it that this person's behavior made me want to talk about them? Like, why it bother me? Think about that. Think about what qualities in that person rub you. So normally, when you're defining values, you want to look at people and think about what you admire. But I actually want to do the reverse of that. Because if you are in the complaining and in the judging mode where you're looking at people and find things to pick them apart, I want you to ask yourself the question, what is it in that person that makes me do that? And as you're thinking through that, you can come to a conclusion of some sort. And that can help to actually help you identify what you value. Because you're going to think about, I don't like how they talk like them know everything. So maybe it is that you value when persons are educated, but you don't like when them act like them have their ego takes over. Maybe that's what it is. You want them to be authentic and you don't feel they're being real. Maybe you like authenticity and authenticity is a value and you feel the person is being fake and showy. You see how I flip that, guys? So I want you to try that on. If it is that, this past week you had somebody that you were looking at and saying, eh. Some other questions that you can ask yourself if you're trying to figure out your value. What qualities do you admire in other persons and why do you admire those qualities? Maybe it is that, like me, I admire people who are on time, who are prompt. I have a couple of people in my life, quite a few actually, who are always either early for meetings or on time. I can guarantee that when I log into the meeting, they're going to be there. Or when I arrive at the meeting, they're going to be there before me. I also admire men who are respectful of women. I admire men who show chivalry. When they talk about who are gentlemen, I like men who open doors and pull out seats, stand when you get to the table. Like, I mean, those things, you just don't see them enough. So honey boo is like that. And I can tell you categorically, at least once a week or a month, if we're around each other a lot and we're going out and going around other people, at least one person is going to say, wow, guys still do that? Because he's going to come and open my car door. He's going to come and open the door to go into the store. He's going to pull out my chair. He's going to stand when I get back to the table. And I mean, it's not because I grew up with those things. I'm just saying that once I observed it as a thing, I was like, oh, well, this is a new standard for me. And what has happened because of that is whenever I'm out with other people and I see their men not doing that, it bothers me, guys. I don't say anything. And I actually notice that I don't necessarily judge the guy, but it does bother me. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's missing out. And so even my son, I noticed that my son does that for his girlfriend. And I said it to him the other day. I was like, I noticed that he like pull out the chairs and you're doing, and he said that it's because he observes how I experience my relationship. And I was so glad to hear it because I'm like, there's so many things that used to be considered manners. Your parents talk about manners, the manners. And you grew up in the Caribbean, that's what you hear. You're Jamaican. That's what you hear. You don't have no manners. Them not have no manners, See the little boy not have no manners. Him come in and him don't say morning, him don't say evening, him manners. Remember when manners was a thing? Well, standards, you can look at manners as a way to say, yeah, that you have certain standards. You know that you don't enter a room with an elder and say good morning or good evening, and you call them by their name. You don't say Jennifer, you say Miss Jones, right? So when you don't have a clear understanding of what it means to have standards and values for yourself, what you can do is you can look at how maybe your grandparents used to talk about things. Go bed. You know, say what time of night. You need to go. You dip on road all day long. Don't come and sit down on the bed in your dirty clothes. Guys, these things are really all ways that our families, our grandparents were trying to establish standards. And we may not realize it, but as you get older, these are the things that you remember that your parents used to say to you, and you're actually on autopilot. It's like I have a best friend who, if I am on the road and I come off of the road and I go into her bedroom and I make the mistake of sitting on her bed, let me tell you, man, I might as well just exit stage right, because she's going to cost me. That's because she has a certain standard. And so the reason why it is important to identify what your standards are is because you can then look at where maybe your current standards are not aligned with the life that you're trying to create for yourself. Because if you are trying to be in a love relationship with somebody and you're in this love relationship and you don't have standards for how you expect this love person to show up, then you will take anything. You know, I was watching something the other day. I saw somebody shared on their IG stories an interview with Marlon Wayans. And in the interview, Marlon was saying that, you know, he's in his 50s now. And he was like, in his 50s, and he just does not have space to tolerate anybody else's foolishness. In other words, he's in his 50s now and he has a certain set of standards that he has for himself and anybody he's in a romantic relationship with. And you know the most powerful thing that he said? He said he would rather live the rest of his days, because there are fewer now that he's on the other side of 50. He would rather live the rest of his days happy and fulfilled by himself alone, rather than tolerate a relationship with some woman who going come in who have standards that are low, that going give him stress and strain and pain and just headache every day. And I fully got it. I fully got it. Because he has decided within himself that he's not accepting, if he's going to behave at a certain level and he's going to put his best foot forward and he's going to do the things like open the doors and pull out the chairs and speak to you in a particularly respectful way and provide for you and care for you. And then you are going to come now and you're going to come with the headache creating, the backbiting and the complaining and the noise and the, you know, the gossip, and it just not going to line up with his standards. And so he would rather be by himself. And I thought that was so powerful, because many of us, we twist ourselves and we shape ourselves into what other people want because we don't have standards. Because we don't have standards and we don't have a way of being that says, this is what I am going to make sure I stand for, then we take anything that comes across. If you stand for nothing, then you will accept anything. So some of the questions that you can ask yourself if you are concerned about, well, am I actually behaving at my standards? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do to make sure that the people that are in my life are serving me in the way that I desire to be served? If you're wondering, some questions that you can ask yourself: am I tolerating behaviors or situations that conflict with what matters to me? Am I accepting toxic language and toxic treatment? I start asking yourself these questions, you know, are there areas in my life where I feel dissatisfied or I feel unfulfilled? It just feel like I have this big gaping hole Even though I'm doing all the things, I just feel like I'm just unsatisfied and I just can't get fulfillment no matter what I do. What standards might be low in those areas? One more question that you can ask yourself, right? Or one more question that you can think of. Do your actions reflect the things that you prioritize? Do your actions reflect the things that you value? Do your actions reflect the standards that you are setting for other people? Or are they dictated by people putting pressure on you, by people telling you to behave a certain way, or by people treating you a particular way? Are your standards being set by how other people treat you? You got to ask yourself. Don't be sat in a relationship, intimate, love, romantic, or professional, or even familial, even your family. Do not be sat in a relationship where people not treating you the way you know you should be treated, you deserve to be treated. And I'm not talking about, I have to sometimes make this clear now because people be watching and you'll justify your poor standards by saying, yeah, this is how I'm supposed to be treated. No, I'm talking about really looking at humanity and and and, and toxicity. If you need to Google toxic behaviors, yeah, that will help you. If you need to Google toxic behaviors, that will help you, right? But are you allowing your standards to be set by other persons and by the way that other persons treat you? And so you have now come to believe that this is what you deserve. And therefore, your life is now reflecting less than what you desire, less than what you deserve. And so you are fostering and nurturing a feeling of dissatisfaction, a feeling of frustration, and a feeling of unfulfillment in your life. Check yourself. Check yourself and check the people in your life. Check what you're allowing, how you're allowing yourself to be treated. And when you're checking it and you realize that, oh, this person or that person doing this thing, saying this thing, and it's affecting me negatively, this is not how I want to live, this is not how I want to relate. The first thing you do is not just go and cuss off the person and the first thing you do is look at yourself, because that's ultimately what it is. Every single relationship that you are experiencing is about you first. Why did you feel it was okay to be in this situation for so long? Maybe you didn't realize you were in this situation for so long. Maybe that's it. Maybe you're not seeing that, you are allowing toxic behaviors. That's okay. Now that you know, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Are you going to be a visionary or are you going to be a settler? Are you going to be a achiever or a conformist? What are you going to be? Are you going to be a leader or a follower? And I don't mean following, please follow me. Follow me on TikTok, subscribe to me on YouTube. In your life, are you going to be a leader in your life or somebody that just follows along what everybody else is saying that you should do in your life? What are you going to do with it? So before we leave today, I'm going to just pull a quick intention card as you think about those questions. And I don't want you to just think about them for the 5 minutes that you're on this live. I want you to think about it after you leave. I want you to think about how you are, behaving. How are you showing up for yourself? As a matter of fact, this is the card that we're going to focus on today. I am intentional about my greatness. For my TikTokers, for my YouTubers, I am intentional about my greatness. When you have standards, this is what you do. When you have standards, you are intentional about your greatness. You take deliberate action. You take deliberate actions that are aligned with the highest version of yourself. You take deliberate action that is aligned with the truest expression of the life you desire. You don't just take anything with anybody at dash out. You don't. Right? So, as you are stepping into your weekend and into your week, guys, I just want to encourage you to observe. Just observe. You don't have to get all clinical. Just observe. Observe, where am I seeing that standards aren't aligned in my life, and where can I make a difference? Okay? I see where Kamoy is saying that she agrees where food is a medicine, and Ray is having coffee from Jamaica. Guys, let me tell you, tea time is for anything, any warm cup of joy. This morning it was crazy. Thanks for joining, everybody, and for sticking around for this wonderful conversation. Please share, so persons can join us at 8:30 on Saturday mornings, guys. You want to share with them so they can join us for tea time anytime. I'm so thrilled to see you. Hi, you're welcome, Shoshana, over there on TikTok. I'll see you again next week, Saturday, when we'll continue to talk about how to create the life of your dreams and how to manifest anything it is that you desire. Take care, everybody. See you next week, Saturday. Bye.